Shh. Hey YouTube, Omar here. It's that fateful Sunday, February 6th, and it's that Sunday where you pull out your beef franks, your little cocktail beef franks. What's this? Boneless chicken bites, buffalo style boneless chicken bites, and of course, the classics. Yes, it's Super Bowl Sunday, and we have a good one in store. It's the Packers taking on the Steelers in Dallas. Crazy ticket prices down there. Apparently, according to Sports Illustrated, which I have in front of me right now, as you'll find out why from later in the show, later in this preview. According to Sports Illustrated, it costs something like $990 to get a parking spot. 2 blocks or 1/10 of a mile if you don't live in the city away from the stadium. What? Now, they also have an advertisement in here which has a guy holding up a ticket that, has a seat in the top deck, row 1 of the top deck for $900. Now you're telling me the parking costs more than a seat? Now, the industry's always been kind of expensive, but anyway, who cares? Super Bowl Sunday. Let's get to the game and what I think will happen. So, the matchups that Sports Illustrated put here in their article are pretty interesting. They say that there's 5 matchups that are going to determine the game mostly. And they say these matchups are Aaron Rodgers versus Troy Polamalu, B.J. Raji versus Doug Legursky, Brian Bulaga versus Lamar Woodley, Sam Shields versus Mike Wallace, and Donald Driver versus Brian McFadden. So I agree with some of these, but I disagree with some others, and we'll start with the Aaron Rodgers versus Troy Polamalu. Now, I would keep both these players in this matchup, but I'd also add 2 more. On the Steelers side, I'd add Ben Roethlisberger. Now, obviously, the last time Aaron Rodgers and Ben Roethlisberger faced each other, they threw for over 800 yards and zero interceptions. They set an NFL record for combined quarterback yards without an interception in a game. So, obviously, I don't think that's going to happen this time because there's a lot of talent on both defenses. But I think it's gonna come down. It might just come down to what quarterback throws a costly interception or just makes a late mistake that might cost their team the game. And then on the Packers side, I would add Charles Woodson. Now, what makes Charles Woodson and Troy Polamalu this similar? Well, Troy Polamalu is a guy that can make very acrobatic interceptions. You have to account for him you have to know where he is before every single snap, and he can hurt you with the blitz and get a big sack to ruin a drive. Who does that sound like to me? Charles Woodson. Same exact thing. Charles Woodson is pumped up for this game, okay? He has a Heisman Trophy, obviously not enough. He wants a ring. I'm sure Polamalu does too. Although I would think that Charles Woodson wants a ring a little bit more, it seems like. But anyway, that's that first matchup. And that matchup, I think, is going to be the biggest matchup in the game. So next they have B.J. Raji versus Doug Legursky. And I would agree exactly with that. B.J. Raji is a defensive tackle, 337 pounds, who's been playing his best football of his career, probably, in the past 2 months for the Packers, and he's going up against a center who hasn't even started an NFL game in Doug Legursky. Doug Legursky can always be good. You never know. The man hasn't had a chance to start an NFL game, but to start your first game of your career in the Super Bowl, in a way, it's a good thing. It's a great atmosphere, but in a way, it's just too much. He has no experience, and now he has to come in and play his first game in the Super Bowl against, right now, the most dominant defensive tackle in the past 2 months, B.J. Raji. So that's going to obviously be a tough task for Doug Legursky. He's going to need help. They're going to have to double-team Raji a bunch of plays, and I believe Clay Matthews should come up a lot in this game. That's what I would call if I was the Packers, because with Clay Matthews blitzing, you have to account for him. If they just run the regular 3-4, there's only 3 people blitzing, three people rushing the quarterback, it's not going to be a problem for them to double up Raji. But if they bring Matthews, that's going to be a serious problem because Matthews obviously is another great sack threat. Anyway, moving on, they have Brian Balaga versus Lamar Woodley. I disagree with this one. I don't think it's gonna come down that much in the game. Brian Balaga obviously a great offensive tackle. Lamar Woodley obviously a great outside linebacker. But I think it's more like Lamar Woodley versus Lamar Woodley and B.J. Raji, and then Sam Shields and Brian McFadden. Why do I think this? These are the two people that are going to be rushing the quarterback the most. B.J. Raj and Lamar Woodley. Obviously, they both know how to get to the quarterback and bring him down. But B.J. Raji has a little bit of the edge, and then he's going up against a much, much, much easier offensive lineman. Assuming that Lamar Woodley is going to most of the plays in the game run at Bulaga. And then there's Sam Shields and Brian McFadden. They're both number 2 corners, and they both have good receivers to cover tonight. Sam Shields obviously has burning speed. He's going to be put in a test tonight because Mike Wallace, the man he's guarding second receiver for the Steelers, he has burning speed too, so that should be interesting. I would not be surprised to see most of the plays the two of them ended up about 30 or 40 yards down the field and right next to each other. Brian McFadden has struggled all year at cornerback, and he's got Donald Drive tonight, who obviously is too old to have burning speed, but he's definitely a good receiver and is a good route runner, and McFadden has got to step his game up. Rodgers is so good, and if you give him this easy play, it's not happening. Anyway, I think in the end, it's going to come down to a final drive, as many of the Super Bowls have in the past 4 years, if you include this. In the past 3 years, we've had 2 Super Bowls, that being the Giants, Patriots, and the Steelers could remember themselves beating the Arizona Cardinals. The two of them, the winning touchdown was scored on a final drive with 35 seconds left. I think it could be a very similar scenario tonight, and I think in a 24-23 game, the Green Bay Packers pull it out. Obviously, the Steelers, I would say, are the favorites. Most people think the Steelers are going to win, but the Packers, they have a lot of talent, and I think I don't know much, but to what I think, they have more heart than the Steelers. The Steelers, a bunch more of the players on the Steelers already have a ring. It doesn't mean they might not want to go for another one. I'm sure they'll come out wanting to win too. But I think the Packers are really going to play their hearts out tonight, and they're going to get the win by 1 point. And on a side note, I'm wearing my Amari Stoudemire new shirt, partly just because it was in my room, and partly because he scored 41 points in a 117-103 win over the 76ers. This morning or this afternoon. So everybody enjoy the Super Bowl, and see you.